Greetings and welcome to a special edition of This Week in Lax904. I am Ray Carnicelli. We missed you on Sunday, but we wanted to get you caught up on last week's action and a look at the week ahead. We saw Jacksonville defeat Queens at Rock Beach on Saturday. Flagler College took care of Shorter to go 3-0 in the Peach Belt Conference. We had big performances from so many Lax904 alumni, and high school playoffs are underway with some great games tonight. Jacksonville is back in action tomorrow, Wednesday at noon at Rock Beach, taking on ASUN Conference foe Detroit. So we've got a lot to talk about. We appreciate you listening. We want to thank all of our sponsors, the M Shack, Cantina Louie, Derek Prince Realtor, and First Coast Crush Lacrosse. With that being said, let's jump right into it. So let's jump right into Jacksonville versus Queens. It was a great day for the JU Dolphins. It was a dominating performance. The final score was Jacksonville 25 and Queens 5. It was a big record-breaking day for Jacob Greiner, who had 11 points, 6 goals, and 5 assists. He reached the 100-goal plateau in his Jacksonville career. It was just an all-around dominating performance on both sides of the ball. Nathan Kapp also had a record-breaking day, broke the single-season and career face-off record, also for ground balls, and Nathan Kapp also had 2 goals on the day. Diverse and widespread scoring. As I mentioned, Greiner had 6 goals, Max Waldbaum with 3, the Danny May had 3. Sam Chase had 2, Luke Robinson had 2, Nathan Kapp from that face-off spot had 2 as well. Dylan Watson with 2, Brandon Galloway with 2, Tucker Denault had a goal, Jackson Intrieri had a goal, and Marshall McGuire had a goal as well. And calling that game was very exciting. I said shot Jacksonville 80 times, which is once every 45 seconds. Going into the game, I asked Coach Galloway in the pregame where his target for shooting percentage was. Most teams like to be up around 40%. Jacksonville was closer to 40% last season. This season they've been tracking a little lower, closer to 30. And this game was closer to 30 as well. But I think everyone's pretty happy with the shooting for Jacksonville. They did hit some pipes. They had a lot of new players in, and 25 goals is a lot to ask. So it was a great day for Jacksonville. The defense did everything that they were asked to do as well. So just an all-around great performance. The goalies didn't have too much action, but when they were called on, both Yo Quinto and Luke Milliken had good days as well. Total of 8 saves, only 13 shots on cage for Queens. Jacksonville was perfect in the man down, they were perfect in the clearing game, and they were perfect in man up. And one of my takeaways from this game was the man up. I really liked the personnel they had out there. A few minor changes with Luke Robinson playing that center role right in front of the crease, a lot of off-ball movement, having the rangy shooters like Galloway and Watson, and to some extent Greiner stretching the defense out, Max Waldbaum doing a little bit of everything, and then Jackson Intrieri running the show. It is a well-oiled man-up machine. Took a little while for us to get there, but I feel really good about it right now. Also, the substituting in the personnel, having Intrieri with Waldbaum and Greiner, and then filling in with Watson and Nicky Brown for the early parts of the game. I felt really good about the way that substitution went. Still a little surprised at the midfield that they're running so many midfielders early. I'm not sure what the rotations would be if they were playing Air Force or Utah or Duke in the NCAA or Virginia in the NCAA, whether they're going to shrink down the number of midfielders they use early or if they're going to keep running 9, 12 midfielders out there throughout the game. So we will wait and see. Jacksonville takes on Detroit on Wednesday at noon. I'll be calling that game on ESPN Plus, and we'll come back momentarily and talk a little bit about Jacksonville at Detroit. It was also a record-setting day for Flagler College as they secured their program record 5th win and went to 3-0 in the Peach Belt Conference. Antonis Makusis scored 7 times in the big win for Flagler College, 24-6 win over Shorter. Goals were also scored by Garrett Shaw with 3, Colton Reynolds with 3, Logan Tobias had 2, Ty Douglas had 2, Dylan Wilson had 1, Garrett Moore had 1, Jackson Crancy had 1, Thomas Pritchard, Augie D'Ambrosi, Luke Kane, Dave Campbell, and local St. Augustine product Devin Carter each had a goal. Big game on Saturday in St. Augustine as Flagler looks to secure the number 1 seed in the conference playoffs as they take on undefeated Lander. And it'll be a good time to get down to St. Augustine and watch the Saints in action. Jacksonville will be on the road. No excuses. Get down and cheer on Coach Duncan and the boys. The high school playoff action is underway here in Northeast Florida. As you know, there's 2 classifications. 2A are the larger schools, 1A are the smaller schools. In 2A action, District 2, Ponte Vedra versus Bartram Trail, as well as Nice versus Creekside. The winner will face off later this week. Can Bartram Trail give Ponte Vedra a game? Nice versus Creekside. Nice won the first matchup by just 2 goals. Can they sweep Creekside, or will the Knights make vengeance on their earlier season loss? Episcopal versus Providence should be a great game in 1A. Flagler, Palm Coast, and Matanzas. St. Augustine versus Fleming Island. That should be a battle. Fleming Island's the number 8 seed. St. Augustine's number 6 ranked, so we'll see if Fleming Island can pull off the upset. Menendez and Trinity Catholic. Bowles versus Paxson, and Tocoi Creek versus Oak Hall. Check back in and follow me on Twitter for in-game updates and for a recap later this week. Our local alumni from the Lax904 area are having a big week in college lacrosse. Eric Dobson, with a hat trick, led number 1 Notre Dame to a 17-12 win over Duke. Dobson's having a tremendous season, 21 goals and 8 assists for the number 1 ranked Fighting Irish. Joe Taraboletti from Ponte Vedra had an assist in a big Denver win this week. Jack Dowd continues to stack up goals for Salisbury. Guy Bistro for St. Leo, and just so many players having great seasons throughout Divisions 1, 2, and 3. Jacksonville takes on Detroit Mercy on Wednesday at noon at Rock Beach. Should be a lot of fun out there. Try to make lunch plans to get out to JU, and if you can't, tune in on ESPN+. I'll be on the call with Darby Brower. Should be a fun game. I've had a chance to watch Detroit Mercy play a couple of games. They lost against Queens. They came back and snuck out a victory against Lindenwood last week. They do have some decent goal scorers. Kesenick, Burney, Bishop, and a few other guys, but they are struggling. They are reeling. They have trouble winning faceoffs. They've got some questions in the goal, so I expect Jacksonville to dominate. I don't expect the Titans to see much of the ball. I want to see Jacksonville run and gun and see if they can surpass that 25-goal, 80-shot mark that they had against Queens. If the weather's decent, I expect it to be a very similar game. And then Jacksonville travels up to Lindenwood next week on Saturday at noon Central Time. So a couple of back-to-back games, Queens, Detroit Mercy, and Lindenwood. They would all be, the expectations would be for Jacksonville to roll all 3 of those games before coming back home on Saturday the 22nd to take on Air Force in a huge game. It's the ASUN. They're all big games, but if Jacksonville were to struggle against Detroit or Lindenwood, it would be a shocking surprise. Jacksonville is currently ranked back into the top 15 in the media poll. They've only have 2 losses to Johns Hopkins and Utah. That's the same spot they were in this time last year. It's just a little different feeling. Last year, everyone was still high and excited. They were America's team. And this year, there seemed to be some questions, probably because of the close game against Cleveland State, and the way that first half went against Utah just kind of changes the perception. But the bottom line hasn't changed. Keep winning. Fight for that first round bye in the ASUN playoffs. You have to beat Air Force, you have to beat Bellarmine, and then get to the playoffs and probably have to beat Utah or Air Force or Bellarmine again, or maybe even a Cleveland State. It's my expectation that Jacksonville will win out. The next game that we'll watch them play at home is that huge game against Air Force following tomorrow's Detroit game. Making plans to get up to the ASUN playoffs and call that game on 1010XL, both the semifinals and the finals. And I know I'm looking ahead, but I think a rematch with either Duke or possibly a game versus Virginia in the NCAA playoffs. Just laying it on the line. Those are my expectations. Be sure to follow me on Twitter for high school updates all week, and hope to see you all at JU on Wednesday.